One of the tricks of growing fruit trees successfully in containers is every 1 to 3 years, depending on how fast they're growing, to move them into a slightly larger pot, and that gives more space for the roots to grow and more food for the tree to grow larger. So this is a cherry tree I've got here, and I think it's been in this pot for at least 2 years, and it's definitely ready to move. One sign is that it just looks too large for the top of the pot. Also, another one is that there's actually roots coming out of the bottom here, and actually I think I probably should have moved this one last year. So here's the pot I'm moving it into, and the first thing I'm doing is adding a layer of wood chip and kitchen waste, and this does two things. One, it fills up a bit of a pot, so you need less potting mix, but also it provides a reservoir of food for worms and microbes to feed on. And I put the kitchen waste on top because otherwise the wood waste can take nutrients out of the soil. I'm then adding a few handfuls of worm compost, which is great if you've got some, but don't worry if you haven't. And then I'm using a peat-free potting mix with added John Innes, and that basically means it's got some soil in it as well as organic material. This has two benefits. It's a bit heavier, so it adds a bit more stability to the pot and makes it less likely to blow over. And it also has a bit more nutrients to feed the fruit tree for a bit longer. Now for the job of getting the tree out of the pot, which is sometimes the tricky bit. If you lie it on its side, it's much easier, and then quite often if you just give it a pull, it will come out quite easily. Sometimes this is a two-person job. Once you've got the tree out, you can start trying to tease the roots out a bit, and also try and remove some of the outer layer of potting mix, because we want to add fresh potting mix to help it grow more. These roots are very sort of fine and hairy and very sort of full. Sometimes you'll find much more sort of thicker and rooty roots. One of the main things you want to do here is make sure you haven't got lots of roots circling the pot. If you have, try and pull them out, and it's also a good idea if there's any extra long ones to cut some of them off with some secateurs. Because I'm putting this into a bigger pot, I don't feel I really need to take off too much of a potting mix. So I'm happy with this, and now I'm going to put it into the new pot. You want to get the level right so that the tree is an inch or two below the top of the pot, and you don't want to bury the tree more than it was before. So now I've done that, I'm going to put new potting mix around the sides of the tree and fill that in, and then pushing it in, firming it in as I go, because you really want to make sure that the roots are in good contact all the way round with the new potting mix, and also that the tree is held securely there. So there we are, that's all done. It's not the nicest job and it's quite messy, but it does feel very good to have done it, and I know now that hopefully this tree will be happy for at least another year, probably 2, maybe even 3 years. The only other thing I will do now is I need to put a bigger stake in here to give this tree plenty of support in the wind. Particularly when it gets leaves, it's going to need more support. If you haven't got space to fit in a larger pot, it's still a good idea to take the tree out of the pot every 2 or 3 years, tease out the roots a bit, remove some of the old compost, the old potting mix, and replace it with some fresh stuff, and that can just help to reinvigorate it and keep it going for another year or two.